The stories you don't hear about quarterbacks usually matter the most. Not touchdowns. Not contracts. Not headlines. But what they do when the cameras are off, especially for the guys protecting them every single snap. And according to one former Green Bay Packer, that's exactly where Aaron Rodgers separated himself from a legend like Brett Favre in a way fans never expected. Welcome back to NFL Snapwire. Let's get into it. Aaron Rodgers has never been the most universally loved quarterback. Some fan bases roll their eyes. Some media outlets question his personality. But if you ask the men who blocked for him, the story sounds very different. To them, Rodgers wasn't just a quarterback, he was someone who went out of his way to make sure they felt valued. Former Packers offensive lineman Cameron Stevenson recently pulled back the curtain on that side of Rodgers during an interview with Steelers Takeaway. Stevenson, who shared a locker room with both Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers during his short stint in Green Bay, didn't hesitate when comparing the two. Aaron was awesome. He took care of us, Stevenson said. For Christmas, he bought the entire number 2 offensive line MacBooks. Brett Favre didn't get us anything. We thought that was funny. That one line said everything. Stevenson wasn't a star. He wasn't a Pro Bowler. He was fighting for a roster spot. And yet, Rodgers, who was just stepping into the starting role at the time, made sure even backup linemen felt appreciated. MacBooks aren't cheap, especially for a quarterback who hadn't yet signed the mega deals that would come later in his career. But for Rodgers, that gesture mattered. And it didn't stop there. Stevenson recalled how Rodgers' house was always open during the offseason. Teammates would hang out, eat together, and compete in everything from video games to ping pong, where Rodgers crowned himself the undisputed champion. There was always a chef cooking. There was always a sense of togetherness. He was the most awesome guy to all of us, Stevenson added. I see the media bashing him all the time, but they didn't see that side. That perspective hits differently when you realize Stevenson also experienced the Favre era firsthand. Brett Favre is a Packers icon. A Super Bowl champion. A Hall of Famer. One of the toughest quarterbacks the league has ever seen. But when it came to spoiling teammates, Favre had a reputation, and not a flattering one. Former Packers guard Aaron Taylor shared a now famous story back in 2014 that perfectly captured that reputation. After Green Bay lost Super Bowl 32 to the Broncos, Favre promised his offensive line an all-expenses-paid trip to Cancun. Sounds incredible, until the fine print came out. Favre had arranged the trip so that it would be paid for only if the linemen spent their nights signing autographs in the hotel lobby to cover the costs. Vacation by day. Sharpie duty by night. Taylor laughed about it years later, joking that they didn't even get free gloves or wipes for their trouble. It was funny, but it also reinforced the idea that Favre simply wasn't big on opening his wallet for teammates. To be fair, Favre has never denied being frugal. In fact, he's recently tried to explain it. On his podcast 4th and Favre, the Packers legend admitted he did give gifts, just not often. He recalled buying watches for the offensive line early in his career and gifting Sterling Sharpe a watch after Sharpe broke the single-season reception record in 1992. But compared to the modern era, where Tom Brady hands out UGG boots and Tony Romo gives Louis Vuitton luggage, Favre's gestures look modest. And most teammates never took it personally. Favre's humble upbringing in small-town Mississippi played a big role in that mindset. That same perspective is why Favre recently defended current Packers quarterback Jordan Love, who caught criticism for giving his offensive line Nike Dunk shoes for Christmas. To each his own, Favre said. Every guy in pro football makes really good money. I don't think Jordan is cheap by any means. Love reportedly spent around $5,000 total on the gifts, hardly a massive amount considering his 4-year, $220 million extension signed in 2024. Still, comparisons to Aaron Rodgers made the criticism louder. Because Rodgers didn't just give gifts, he turned generosity into part of his leadership identity. Now in Pittsburgh, that hasn't changed. Since joining the Steelers, Rodgers has made it a point to build relationships off the field. Teammates have talked about late-night gaming sessions, dinners at his house, and constant encouragement, especially when players hit rough patches. Former Packers teammate Keyshawn Nixon once said Rodgers was instrumental in keeping his confidence alive during a slump. And this season, Rodgers took things to a whole new level. Reports surfaced that he gifted each of his Steelers offensive linemen a Can-Am Maverick side-by-side vehicle, off-road machines that can cost anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000 each. Videos shared by Mosaic Motorsports captured the linemen's stunned reactions as Rodgers rolled up with the surprises. He didn't just hand over the keys, he rode alongside them outside the practice facility. It wasn't about showing off. It was about bonding. This is the version of Aaron Rodgers most fans never see. The teammate-first leader. The quarterback who understands that trust in the locker room starts long before Sundays. And while gift-giving may be trendy now, Rodgers was doing it before it was cool, because for him, it was never about optics. It was about appreciation. And as one former Packer made clear, when you compare the legacies of Favre and Rodgers off the field, the difference couldn't be more obvious. That's it for today on NFL Snapwire. If you enjoy the stories behind the stats, the moments fans don't always hear about, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay locked in. We'll see you next time.